The cops showed up 30 minutes after my wife came home from deployment. She stepped off the Uber in full Navy uniform. Proud, exhausted, finally back after 310 days at sea. We were crying, hugging, celebrating, but to our neighborhood HOA president, that was a disturbance. She called the police because of balloons, a banner, and a barking dog. Pause, then punchline. Yeah, this is a story of how Karen tried to ruin my wife's homecoming, and how the neighborhood turned on her instead. It was a bright Saturday morning, the kind that makes the trees seem greener and the sky impossibly blue. The kind of morning you don't forget, not because of how perfect it was, but because of what followed. After nearly a year at sea, my wife, Petty Officer Maria Daniels, was finally coming home from a USS Truman. I had scrubbed the house spotless, hung up the welcome sign over our garage, and even inflated a few red, white, and blue balloons tied to mailbox. I wasn't expecting fanfare from the neighborhood. Our HOA, the glorious River Pine Lakes Homeowners Association, frowned on unsightly displays. But I didn't care. Maria had spent 310 days on deployment, dealing with high-stress missions, sleepless nights, and being far from everything familiar. She earned every balloon, banner, and welcome home sign. But the neighborhood's infamous Karen had other plans. Her real name was Linda Beckett, but anyone who lived within a 2-mile radius knew her as the HOA president, a woman who could sniff an unapproved mailbox paint job from 3 blocks away and cite a violation code number from memory. She had already sent me a warning 2 days earlier. Dear Mr. Daniels, your recent decorations constitute a violation of Rule 12b-6 of the River Pine Aesthetic Standards. Remove them immediately or face a citation. Regards, Linda Beckett, HOA President. I didn't respond. Let her come. This day was for Maria. Homecoming. When Maria's Uber pulled up just after 10 a.m., I was already on the lawn. I'd baked cookies. I had our dog, Cooper, freshly groomed, and I had tears in my eyes. Maria stepped out in full dress whites, sharply pressed, medals pinned across her chest, covered squarely on her head. She looked like a hero. She was a hero. Cooper barked madly and bounded toward her. She knelt and buried her face in his fur. I ran to her, scooping her into my arms. Try not to cry too hard. I missed you, she whispered. You're home now. That's all that matters, I said. From across the street, I saw a blind shift. It didn't take long. The sirens. Roughly 20 minutes later, just as Maria was inside unpacking her sea bag, we heard it. A police cruiser siren. It cut off quickly but unmistakably. Then came the knock. Loud. Sharp. I opened the door, find 2 uniformed officers, and just behind them on the sidewalk, arms folded and lips pursed, stood Karen. Sorry, Linda. Sir, one officer said, we received a call regarding a disturbance. Maria stepped forward behind me. A disturbance? Linda piped up before the officers could answer. You can't have military parades in a residential neighborhood. The flags, the decorations, a barking dog. It's chaos. You're violating HOA protocols and disrupting the peace. One officer raised an eyebrow. Ma'am, he asked Linda, you called this in? I most certainly did, she said, arms now akimbo. That woman is creating a spectacle. Maria stepped onto the porch, calm but clearly annoyed. You mean me? The Navy sailor who just got home from deployment. The officer glanced at her chest, taking in the rank and service ribbons. Ma'am, thank you for your service. Thank you, Maria replied. Then she looked directly at Linda. Do you really hate this country that much, or just the people who serve it? The HOA showdown. Linda was momentarily stunned, but not defeated. This isn't about the military. It's about rules. You didn't submit a form for those decorations. We have procedure for lawn displays. I've been on a carrier in the Mediterranean for 11 months, Maria said, stepping forward. I wasn't exactly thinking about your paperwork. She's got a point, said the younger officer. He turned to me. Did she just get home today? Yeah, about 30 minutes ago. The older cop nodded. Okay, folks. No laws broken here. No ordinance violations. HOA issues are civil matters. We're not getting involved. Have a good day. Wait, Linda shouted. You're just going to ignore the rules? That's how neighborhoods fall apart. The younger officer shrugged. Ma'am, it's balloons and a banner. The officers left. Linda glared at us like we had personally vandalized her flower bed. The fallout. Within hours, our street was buzzing. Some neighbors sent us supportive texts. A few walked over with casseroles and cookies. Others stayed silent. But Linda, she escalated. We received 3 formal violation letters within a week. Then, a certified letter stating we were under review by the Architectural Compliance Board, something that sounded a lot more dramatic than it was. The next day, I saw her snapping photos of our house. Maria walked outside in her Navy PT gear, waved, and said, "Smile for the Department of Defense." Linda walked off. The backstory unfolds. As the tension built, something strange happened. People started telling stories. Neighbors came forward with their own HOA horror tales. I got fined for having pumpkins out too long after Halloween. She made me replant my whole flower bed because I used red mulch. She called the city on my son's lemonade stand. It turned out Linda had been terrorizing the block for years, but nobody had ever stood up to her. Not really. Until Maria. I didn't come back to fight in my own neighborhood, Maria told me one night, but I'll be damned if I let someone like her bully us. The meeting. We decided to attend the next HOA board meeting. Maria wore her service uniform. I printed out every citation we'd received and highlighted the pettiness. The community center was packed. Word had gotten out. Linda sat at the front table, looking like she was preparing to win a courtroom drama. She banged her gavel. Yes, she had won. This meeting will now come to order, she said. We have several violation disputes to review, including the Daniels household. Maria stood. With all due respect, I want to speak directly to my neighbors. Linda opened her mouth to object, but the crowd quieted her. I didn't come here to cause trouble, Maria said. I serve this country to protect the freedoms of every person in this room, even Linda's. I respect rules, but I also believe in compassion. My welcome home shouldn't be a bureaucratic nightmare. And if a few flags and balloons are too much for this neighborhood to handle, maybe it's the rules that need to change, not the people following them. A few claps started, then more. Linda tried to bang her gavel, but no one was listening. The next week, the HOA board voted to amend the rules. Military homecomings were officially exempt from decoration limits for a 72-hour period. A small victory, but a meaningful one. More importantly, neighbors began to talk more openly. The Daniels house became known not just as the one with the sailor, but the one where people stood up for themselves. Linda stayed on as HOA president for a few more months, but the next election cycle brought change. People remembered the welcome sign, the cops, the gavel. They remembered Maria. 6 months later, Maria planted a rose bush in the front yard. No permission slip, no form, just a quiet statement. Linda walked by one morning, paused at the edge of the lawn, and said, roses need a lot of sunlight in that spot. Maria didn't look up from the soil. Guess we'll find out. Epilogue. Life in River Pine Lakes changed. Slowly, but it changed. The HOA rules relaxed. Community events got more inclusive. And while not everyone became best friends, there was a new respect, not just for Maria, but for what it meant to come home. Sometimes it only takes one sailor and one determined husband to remind a neighborhood what home really means.